So the first day of rehearsal, from what I remember, it was very hot. I think if I remember when I was looking at my phone that morning, it was 32 degrees Celsius, which is pretty unbearably hot compared to what I'm used to for Canadian summer. When we got there, we entered into this room that was supposed to be a wedding hall. One of the walls was not connected to the ceiling, and instead the sun was shining through. A little bit of wind came in, but definitely not enough from what I remember with all that dancing. The drummers were already playing, and I didn't get a good look at them the first day. I was very much waiting to dance, very much so concentrated on what we were going to do. And then there was Richard, who was our dance instructor. Very patient. The way he spoke, he sounded very, very wise. So what Chrissy had told me in the beginning was that we do not dance with our shoes on. And that kind of intimidated me a little bit, because when I looked at the floor that day, there were seashells embedded into the floor. And all I could think was, my feet are going to get such a beating because it was definitely going to be a new experience. First of all, dancing without shoes on, or socks even. And second of all, I guess, being in those conditions as well. But I remember when it happened and we started dancing, as much as my feet hurt and as much as like how sweaty I was, I remember I even wore white that day, and I was thinking, oh, I'm probably drenched, and my shirt was completely covered in sweat too, but I kept quiet because I felt as though we were in a totally different place where people work incredibly hard and work incredibly long hours and do things so much more differently than we do, and they're used to these conditions and we're not. And I was definitely not expecting it. I've trained for dance competitions before, dance like for concerts and for other things, and I remember thinking I've never worked twice as hard as I had that first day of rehearsal.
Maybe we do a dance and do that for today. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Anna. Let's go. Are you done? Yes. You sure? Okay, then do water. Let's try this. You must be equal, okay? The movement must be equal. So, okay, this is what I want.
It's important for us to get everything down before we started doing outreach. And the other thing that I also couldn't help but think too is that these people also work twice as hard. And I mean, I know a lot of very hardworking people back home, but especially after that first day, I honestly felt as though like I've never met anybody like who worked as hard as the people do that day. So I find that when you're here, you kind of hold your tongue on a lot of things. You don't complain as much, or you don't feel the need to complain as much, because it's very different, and some of the stuff we do back home does not compare, or some of the work that we do back home does not compare to some of the stuff that they do here.